Eek-a-Mouse style is different style, you know. You know what I mean? How when a man sing, I'm start singing lyrics. Him say la la whoa whoa. When Eek-a-Mouse don't say that, it's like Toning dog get so is where I grow. Pain and tribulation no line the hoe. Mommy and daddy all and we all live for all. Me no know, me no know. Bang bang bena me in, bang bang bena me in. Bena mini me na go oi, bing bing me hen.
Alright, let's invite on for a quick spot in Reggae Sun Splash before we go and splash it down on the beach today. Let's hear it for Eek-a-Mouse.
Me name Eek-a-Mouse, I don't really dress tidy, but you know what I mean? Some army style. Eek-a-Mouse don't DJ, you know. Eek-a-Mouse sing.
Hello everybody, you're welcome back again to the Reggae Appreciation Society. Trench Town is the most famous ghetto in the world, a gritty section of Kingston that has produced a large number of reggae icons like the Wailers, the Mighty Diamonds, and the brilliant, eccentric, and unmistakable Eek-a-Mouse. He is without a doubt the most unusual reggae artist we've ever seen, and when he burst on the scene in the late 1970s, it wasn't just his giant 6'6" frame that set him apart, or his unusual outfits, or even his comedic antics on stage that caught Jamaica's attention. Eek-a-Mouse's unheard-of vocal style blew audiences away. You couldn't call his technique singing like Dennis Brown would do, or outright DJing like Yellow Man. His style was something in between. It took him 6 years to perfect this style that would come to be known as the Sing J technique. A style that artists like Sizzla Kalonji and Mr. Vegas would adopt in the future but could never successfully replicate. Listening to him, you wouldn't be sure what language he was speaking when you heard Bang Ding Ding, Billy Bong or Billy Bay. But one thing was for certain, you just knew that you were listening to something special. He emerged as a storyteller, relating life from the street eye view of a young man in the hard streets of Trench Town, with light-hearted humor, and by the time he hit the scene in 1980, he set the whole reggae industry alight with Mouse Mania. Ripton Joseph Hilton was born on the 19th of November 1957 in Kingston, Jamaica. He showed the talents for music as a child, and like so many icons from the ghetto, he saw music as a way out of the slums and began to participate at school concerts. He started out in those days as a roots reggae singer, but began to pivot towards toasting at DJ sets for sound systems in what was then a fast emerging dancehall scene. He began to improvise a style that merged his singing and toasting talents into what would become his trademark technique. It was towards the end of high school that his gym class teacher, one Mr. Duhaney, produced his first two singles, Creation and My Father's Land, in 1975. Everything about Eek-a-Mouse was unique, including his stage name. The name Eek-a-Mouse started out as a joke by his friends, who began to call him by the name of a racehorse that young Ripton used to bet on regularly but always lost. He became the butt of his friends' jokes when the only time he bet on a different horse, Eek-a-Mouse actually won. Jokes or not, his success seemed to coincide with his new nickname, and in late 1979, he was discovered by legendary dancehall producer Henry John Joe Laws. John Joe Laws was assembling a dream team of future superstars that would totally take reggae to new heights. This set of artists included Yellow Man, Coco T, and Eek-a-Mouse. Under John Joe's management, Eek-a-Mouse released a string of successful singles in 1980 and capped the year with his debut album Bubble Up Your Hip. And in 1981, he released his second album, Wadu Dem, which became a smash international hit. As further validation of his arrival as a big star, he was among the performers at the 1981 Reggae Sun Splash and ended up becoming the hero of the event. Bob Marley had passed on that year, and a dark air of sadness had hovered over the festival. But Eek-a-Mouse's light-hearted and humorous performances lifted the mood and endeared him greatly to the audience. Even though his flow and appearance always inspired laughter, his lyrics also had a gritty edge, as a lot of his songs touched on heavy topics like crime, poverty, and violent ghetto life. 1982 was popularly referred to as the year of the mouse. In that year, he released his album Skidip and many smash singles like Wild Like a Tiger, Do You Remember, and Ganja Smuggling. He made a return to the Reggae Sun Splash that year and was given nothing less than a hero's welcome. He played two scorching sets that were rewarded with tremendous applause by the usually hard-to-please Jamaican audiences. Between 1983 and 1985, he released 4 more albums of exceptional quality. In 1985, he got signed to US-based record label Ras Records and began to make a really strong statement in the US market with his album The King and I. After a 3-year break from the studio, he released the Eek-a-Mouse album and went back to touring in 1988. It was during this period that he dabbled a bit into acting. One night after performing a show at a university in New York, a man came up to him and told him that he had been impressed with his show and the dramatic sides of his performance. The man turned out to be American film director Mario Van Peebles, and a few weeks later, he got a call offering him a role in the 1991 gangster movie New Jack City, where he played a Jamaican drug dealer named Fat Smitty. He was also offered a role in Steven Seagal's action flick Marked for Death, but turned it down as he felt it had elements that were demeaning to Rastafarians. Eek-a-Mouse was a very busy artist in the 90s, and up until the end of that decade was performing an incredible 200 to 250 shows a year. He slowed down his output of albums and released just 2 throughout the 90s. The 2000s, however, marked a major downturn for him in terms of legal issues. He was living in the US and was in extremely high demand, doing endless shows and making 6 figures monthly. Then in August of 2008, he was arrested and charged with sexual assault and narcotics charges. Instead of facing the legal process, he fled the country and an arrest warrant was issued with a $1 million bounty placed on his head. He was found in Paraguay and was extradited to the US and formally charged for the crimes. He was however released after a plea deal was agreed in 2013. But that wasn't the end of his troubles, as he was accused of domestic assault by his partner, Ann Wills. The courts issued a restraining order and barred him from having access to her and their 5 children. He has consistently denied the accusations and states that his former partner set him up to get rid of him and claim his house and other assets. To make matters worse, he found out that his manager and lawyer had mismanaged and wiped out all of his savings. He was forced to return to Jamaica in 2014 for a fresh start and to reset his career. Soon after, he revealed that there had been a feud between him and the Marley family. He accused the Marley brothers of sabotaging his career by putting pressure on promoters in Brazil not to feature him in their concerts. He also accused Damian Marley of cheating him out of royalties due to him for his role in the song Khaki Suit off the Welcome to Jamrock album. He recorded a track detailing the beef banned from reggae. He also released another track in 2022 titled Is It Because I'm Not a Marley? For all his antics and eccentricities, Eek-a-Mouse is still in very high demand and has been performing regularly in concerts and shows in many countries. His quirky antics aside, he's maintained an amazing air of humility and has never sought to blow his own horn as the originator of the Sing J style. It goes to the heart of how unorthodox he is and has been since his debut in the 1970s and up into the 90s when he was unwilling to be pigeonholed into a position as the king of the Sing Js. For a man who ignored the confines of song structures or dancehall boundaries and instead chose to weld both into one art form, who is surprised that he rejected a crown bestowed on him without his permission? Eek-a-Mouse is one of a kind, the likes of which we'll most likely never see again. So there you have it. Thank you for watching the video today. Please leave a like, subscribe, and until next time, Jah bless.